Toyota built one of the most advanced key fob systems in the automotive industry. But what most owners do not realize is that many features programmed into that small plastic remote were disabled before the car left the factory, or buried so deep in the system that no salesperson would ever mention them. These are not aftermarket hacks or internet rumors. They are real functions engineered into Toyota's smart key system, tested, approved, and then quietly switched off or hidden from the owner. Some were disabled for regional legal reasons. Others were turned off to reduce warranty claims. A few were simply deemed too advanced for the average driver to discover on their own. But here is the thing. Most of them can still be activated. And once you understand what your key fob is truly capable of, the way you interact with your Toyota changes permanently. Let's start with the feature Toyota does not want you asking about. The feature that sparked the most controversy is remote start through the factory key fob. Toyota engineered the hardware for remote start directly into many of their smart key systems, particularly on models like the RAV4, Camry, Highlander, and Corolla from 2018 onward. The key fob in your hand may already contain the circuitry needed to start the engine from a distance. But in many markets, Toyota chose to lock this function behind a paid subscription through the Toyota Remote Connect service, rather than enabling it as a standard key fob feature. That means the car is physically capable of doing it. The fob is physically capable of sending the signal, but the software tells the system to ignore the command unless a monthly or an annual subscription is active. This created enormous backlash from owners who felt they were paying for hardware they already owned. In some cases, independent technicians have been able to activate remote start functionality through the key fob by reprogramming the body control module using factory-level diagnostic tools. The process involves accessing the vehicle's smart key ECU and adjusting the communication protocol between the fob and the engine immobilizer. Toyota designed the system with this capability from the start. The decision to disable it was financial, not engineering. Owners who want to explore this should work with a qualified Toyota technician who has access to TechStream, Toyota proprietary diagnostic software, because improper reprogramming can trigger immobilizer faults and lock you out of your own vehicle. What makes this even more frustrating for many owners is that Toyota offered remote start as a standard key fob feature on certain trims in previous model years with no subscription required. The shift to a subscription model happened gradually, and many buyers did not realize until after the trial period expired that a feature they assumed was permanent had quietly become a recurring charge. The next hidden function involves something most Toyota owners use every single day without realizing it has a second layer. The lock button on your key fob does more than secure the doors. On many Toyota models equipped with the smart key system, pressing the lock button 3 times in quick succession activates a confirmation mode that verifies whether all windows and the moonroof are fully closed. If any window is open, the system will automatically close it. This function is tied to the body control module and is part of Toyota's global window closure protocol. In some markets, particularly Europe and parts of Asia, this feature is enabled from the factory because local regulations encourage it for security and weather protection. In the United States, Toyota has historically disabled this feature on most trims due to concerns about pinch sensor liability. The worry was that a window closing remotely could injure a child or pet near the opening. However, Toyota's pinch protection sensors are already built into the power window motors on nearly every model produced after 2015. These sensors detect resistance during closure and reverse the window automatically. That means the safety system required to support remote window closure already exists in your car. The feature was disabled not because it was unsafe, but because Toyota's legal team decided the liability risk was not worth the customer convenience. Some dealerships can enable this function through TechStream by adjusting the smart key system settings in the body control module. Once activated, it works reliably and respects all factory pinch protection protocols. It is one of the most useful hidden features on any Toyota key fob, and it costs nothing to enable if your dealer is willing to do it. Now here is one that catches almost every Toyota owner off guard. Your key fob has a physical emergency key hidden inside it. Most people know this. What they do not know is that the emergency key can access more than just the driver's door. On many Toyota models, particularly trucks and sport utility vehicles like the Tacoma, Tundra, 4Runner, and Sequoia, the physical key blade also operates the rear liftgate lock cylinder and, in some cases, the glove box. Toyota designed this redundancy so that in the event of a complete electrical failure, including a dead 12-volt battery and a dead key fob, the owner could still access critical storage areas of the vehicle. The glove box key access is particularly important because Toyota recommends storing registration, insurance documents, and emergency information inside. If the car loses all power and the electronic locks fail, that physical key becomes the only way in. Many owners never test this because they assume the key blade is only for the door. Toyota does not advertise it because the feature only matters in an emergency, and drawing attention to physical key access could raise theft concerns. But knowing this exists and periodically testing the key in each lock cylinder ensures the mechanisms stay lubricated and functional when you actually need them. A lock cylinder that has not been turned in 5 years can seize from corrosion, and when that happens during a real emergency, the one backup system Toyota gave you becomes useless. If you made it this far, consider liking this video, giving it a thumbs up, and subscribing to my channel. This helps me bring you more honest car advice. Let's talk about the key fob feature that directly affects your car's battery life. Toyota's smart key system uses a constant low-frequency signal exchange between the fob and the vehicle, even when the car is parked and everything appears shut off. The vehicle's keyless entry sensors pulse regularly, searching for a nearby fob. When the fob is within range, it responds, and this back-and-forth communication consumes power from both the fob battery and the vehicle's 12-volt system. Over days and weeks of sitting, this parasitic draw adds up. Toyota engineered a battery saver mode into many of their key fobs to combat this exact problem. On most models, you activate it by pressing the lock button, then immediately pressing the unlock button, then pressing lock again, all within a few seconds. Some models confirm activation with a single flash of the hazard lights or a distinct beep pattern. When this mode is engaged, the fob reduces its broadcast frequency dramatically, and the car's keyless sensors scale back their polling activity. The result is significantly slower battery drain on both ends. This feature is not mentioned in most owners' manuals and is not covered during the delivery process at dealerships. Toyota intended it for situations like airport parking, hospital stays, vacations, or any scenario where the car sits untouched for extended periods. Owners who activate this before long-term parking consistently report returning to a healthy battery, while those who do not often come back to a car that will not start. It is one of the simplest and most effective hidden functions on any Toyota key fob, and it takes less than 5 seconds to use. There is another function hidden in the unlock sequence that most Toyota owners have never triggered. Pressing the unlock button once opens only the driver's door. Everyone knows that. Pressing it twice unlocks all doors. Most people know that too. But pressing and holding the unlock button for 3 to 5 seconds activates a feature Toyota calls the comfort entry ventilation function on equipped models. This command tells the body control module to roll down all 4 windows simultaneously, venting the cabin of trapped hot air before you ever open the door. In climates where interior temperatures can exceed 140 degrees Fahrenheit on a sunny day, this feature dramatically reduces the thermal shock on dashboard plastics, steering wheel materials, seat surfaces, and the air conditioning compressor. Instead of forcing the AC to battle 140-degree air from a dead stop, you allow convection to drop the temperature by 20 to 30 degrees naturally before you even sit down. Toyota designed this to work in conjunction with the automatic window reversal system. So if the car is opened or the button is released, the windows stop immediately. On some models, this feature is active from the factory. On others, it needs to be enabled through the TechStream diagnostic system by a dealer or qualified technician. Either way, it is a factory-engineered function that reduces wear on interior components and makes summer driving significantly more comfortable from the first second you enter the vehicle. For anyone living in states like Texas, Arizona, Florida, or anywhere the sun turns a parked car into an oven, this single feature can change your entire relationship with summer driving. Now let's discuss a key fob behavior that confuses thousands of Toyota owners every year. You walk up to your car, pull the door handle, and nothing happens. The car does not unlock. You press the button on the fob, and it works fine. So you assume the smart key proximity sensor is broken. In most cases, it is not broken at all. Toyota's smart key system uses multiple low-frequency antennas embedded in the door handles, trunk, and rear bumper area. These antennas have a defined detection range, typically about 28 to 36 inches from the handle. If your key fob is in a bag surrounded by metal objects, electronics, or even certain phone cases with magnetic closures, the signal can be partially shielded. The fob's broadcast power is intentionally low to prevent relay theft attacks, where criminals use signal amplifiers to trick the car into thinking the fob is nearby when it is actually inside your house. Toyota reduced the signal range specifically to counter this type of theft, which has become increasingly common across all keyless entry vehicles. This means the system is working exactly as Toyota intended. The trade-off is that you sometimes need to position the fob closer to the handle or remove it from a shielded pocket. Understanding this design choice turns a frustrating experience into a moment of reassurance. Your Toyota is actively protecting itself from one of the fastest-growing vehicle crimes in the country, and the key fob's conservative signal range is the first line of defense. If you want extra protection, storing your fob in a signal-blocking pouch at home prevents relay attacks entirely, because the fob cannot respond to amplified signals if it is shielded inside a Faraday sleeve. Here is a feature that almost no one uses, but could prevent a very expensive mistake. Most Toyota key fobs sold after 2012 are designed to communicate with more than one vehicle if the owner has multiple Toyotas. The Smart Key ECU in each vehicle stores a unique encrypted code tied to specific fobs. Toyota allows up to 8 key fobs to be registered to a single vehicle. But what many owners miss is that when a fob is registered to a new vehicle, it is not automatically deregistered from the old one unless the process is done correctly through the TechStream system. This means if you sell a Toyota and keep a spare fob, or buy a used Toyota without collecting all original fobs, there could be unregistered keys floating around that still have partial access to the vehicle entry system. Toyota's immobilizer prevents the engine from starting with an unregistered fob, but the keyless entry and trunk release functions may still respond. The correct procedure after purchasing any used Toyota is to have a dealer perform a full smart key re-registration. That clears all previous fob codes and only recognizes the fobs physically present during the process. This costs very little compared to the security risk of leaving old key codes active in the system. It is a factory-supported procedure that Toyota recommends, but rarely enforces at the point of sale. Considering that millions of used Toyotas change hands every year in the United States alone, the number of vehicles driving around with unaccounted fob registrations is staggering, and most of those owners have no idea the vulnerability exists. The final hidden function is one Toyota built for emergencies that most owners will thankfully never need, but absolutely must know about. If your Toyota is involved in a situation where you need to disable the vehicle quickly, such as a stuck throttle, a mechanical failure, or an unsafe driving condition, the key fob start button responds to a specific emergency protocol. Press the engine start-stop button 3 times rapidly while the vehicle is in motion, or press and hold it for more than 3 seconds continuously. Either action will shut the engine off, regardless of speed or gear position. Toyota engineered this as a fail-safe override, separate from the normal ignition sequence. It bypasses the standard single-press behavior, which only works when the car is stationary, and forces an immediate engine shutdown. The power steering and brake assist will lose vacuum boost after the engine stops, so the steering will feel heavy and the brake pedal will feel firm, but both systems will still function mechanically. You can still steer the car to the shoulder and bring it to a stop safely. Toyota included this protocol after extensive safety research, and it exists on virtually every push-button Start Toyota produced in the last 15 years. Knowing this sequence before you ever need it is the difference between a controlled stop and a panic situation where you do not know how to turn your own car off. Practice the motion mentally so it becomes instinct, because in a real emergency, you will not have time to think about it. Every one of these features was designed by Toyota engineers, tested under real conditions, and programmed into the vehicle before it ever left the factory. They exist because Toyota builds key fob systems with far more capability than the average owner is ever shown. The fob in your pocket is not just a lock and unlock button. It is a communication device tied directly to your vehicle's brain, and it carries functions that improve safety, protect the battery, extend component life, and give you control that most drivers never even realize they have. The gap between what your key fob can do and what you've been told it can do is wider than most people imagine. And now that you know what's been hidden, you can start using your Toyota the way it was actually designed to be used. If you're enjoying this video, consider watching this one where I'm sharing more secrets Toyota dealerships don't want you to know.